and welcome back to another episode of the Omnichannel Marketer. This is your host, Kate Stevens, and today I'm excited to have two guests on the show. We have Minesh Patel, CEO of Eczema Honey, and Nigel Thomas, the CEO of Alpha Inbound. Hi, both. How are you?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, nice to be here. Thank you, Kate.
Yeah, I'm excited to have both of you on. Would love to hear a little bit about your own personal backgrounds, but then also how you met one another. I think that would be a good starting place to learn a little bit more about, both Eczema Honey and Alpha Inbound.
Yeah, sounds good. I guess I can start. I am not a chemist by trade, and I am also not a dermatologist. However, I found myself in a both medical and cosmetic skincare brand, and it's been a really fun journey. I started out in accounting after college. I worked at Ernst & Young, and then I went into consulting. And back during my consulting days, I had also done a little bit of experience with running an Amazon business and just kind of had, I guess, some side exposure in e-commerce, but I'd never actually built a product and did all that fun stuff. And Kate, I know you have a little one from my research, but as you very well know, once you have little ones in your life, everything is magnified. In our case, obviously, not just the stuff we buy for them, like cribs and blankets and toys and all that stuff, but also what you feed them and what you put on their skin. And so where I kind of landed back in 2018 was I was in consulting, and my kids at the time, both of them have eczema. I'd say moderate to severe. And at the time, it was considered a little, the question when you have eczema on your skin when you're brown is what's wrong with your skin? And it's not like, hey, let me go and try to fix it, or it's like, what's wrong? What did you do? What did you eat? You must have eaten something that was incorrect, especially when you have, big Indian families kind of in the mix. And so immediate solution is a steroid. And it's there's no kind of middle ground between, between resolving the problem and maybe figuring out a way to fix it without just resorting straight to the steroid. And so my humble beginnings, as I was in consulting, starting with nothing more than a DIY product. You can probably Google your own version of an eczema balm, and chances are you can kind of whip one up yourself. So started out with a double boiler with my various family members, mostly on my wife's side. So my brother-in-law, whose name is Gita, she's currently leading our operations. My sister-in-law, and just mom, grandma, it was kind of one of those stories where we were making a cream. We didn't really think it was going to become a cream, but we knew it was kind of going to look like a balm. And it ended up working for our kids. And so what's interesting is we did a lot of this works research rather than the science type of research that you would typically do in creating a product. And I honestly didn't think I was going to leave my job in consulting. I thought, okay, this is a great side gig. I'll sell this cream on the side. And I would say the first 8 months, we really spent reiterating kind of the product. And we were mostly on Instagram. I spent a lot of my time back in 2018. I'm sure you all are familiar with that time where, we would just send out a lot of these jars of eczema honey. People didn't really need to be educated about eczema honey because it's eczema, honey for my eczema type of thing. But what came back to us were before and after pictures. And we were like, okay, this is kind of getting serious. And people are feeling like their lives are changed. In fact, not just their lives, but once you figure out the way to help your kids' skin, it's it's rewarding beyond getting your first job or getting into college, any of that kind of stuff. It's wow, I fixed, I'm the person that fixed my kid's skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think without going too much further into the original details, I think we probably didn't become a real brand until about maybe 8 months in. That's where customers were asking us, hey, when are you making these products? Hey, eczema honey is great, but it's sticky around my eyelids. Are you coming out with something that's going to help with my eyelids? I'm using it for my scalp. Once again, it doesn't make sense to use it for my scalp. Are you coming out with a scalp oil? So it was a lot of when questions with our customers, and it wasn't considered weird at all to call. Actually, it's funny because we probably had like 20 or 30 different customers that I talked to, like on the phone, where I was like, hey, what do you not like about Eczema Honey? What do you like about Eczema Honey? What would you fix? Is it not working? And at the time, because we were making this stuff out of my house, which we're not doing now, but when we were making it out of my house, it was easy to kind of iterate the product, right? Like, hey, I'm going to give these 10 customers kind of a concentration of 70% oil and 30% beeswax, and these other customers I'm going to give them 60/40. And we actually used that opportunity for like that first year to really kind of test how to make Eczema Honey. So it's kind of the start of it all, and it's been fun ever since. I guess we're going on our 5th year now, so having a
Wow.
lot of fun.
And so, Nigel, when do you enter the picture here?
Yeah, so, this is the third agency that I've been a part of, Alpha Inbound. And I started building my personal brand on LinkedIn in 2022. It was, I think, around August of 2022-ish, around that time. I basically so I'm a sufferer of eczema, my whole life. I'm very aggressive eczema too. And I have been using steroids. I've seen all the consultants, and none of it worked, if I'm being honest. And I was doing some research online, and I came across this brand, Eczema Honey. And look, I was just really amazed, being obviously a sufferer myself, how well they understood the customer. So, the copywriting on their page, the way their brand had come across, obviously it does help having eczema in the name of your brand. Very easy to understand for the market. But I did a LinkedIn post about it, getting a little bit of traction at the time. And, I ordered some of the product. So this is the OG product that I use mostly. And I just put it out there into the ecosystem with no expectation of anything in return. And then Minesh got in touch with me, and, we struck up a conversation, and he basically gave me a load of free products. One thing led to another. We built a friendship. We now run their marketing, and we've had a great relationship with them. And obviously for me, it's, really personally rewarding, because honestly, when I was at school, I got incessantly bullied for the fact that I had eczema. And for that to come full circle, and for now Eczema Honey to be probably our best brand, if I'm being honest, and we can get into why that is and why it's so fun to work with these guys. But that was a real moment for me, and it was almost, outside of all the business stuff, celebrate your weaknesses and your fears that you so called thought when you were a child, because actually, sometimes they come full circle and turn out to be your best strengths. And I don't know if you want to get onto that now, but from a stranger of LinkedIn, they actually had an opportunity as were pushing on the retail side more and more to get into Walmart. And, I was very surprised that Minesh said to me, and we just literally met once in New York very briefly, I want you to come to the pitch in Arkansas in Walmart's headquarters. And I don't know, Minesh, if you want to say it from your side. I think you were pretty surprised that literally, we'd had a few drinks and you mentioned it. And then the next day I was like, hey, Minesh, I'm booking the ticket. When are we doing this thing? Remember that?
I think you did it. I think you did it the night of.
Yeah.
Yeah, the night that we met, I was like, yeah, he's down. Let's go. And just to give you an idea, Kate, the way that we've really structured the brand is we will bring our vendors or contractors in to the familia. And it's very much a family run kind of enterprise. So if we feel that the vendor or contractor has really fallen in love with our products, because those are the best people to help you sell your products, right? Then we want to really bring them in. By bring them in, I mean really bring them in.
To his
share
house,
with them
literally.
bring to my house, share our financials, really understand, because from an Omni perspective, we started on Shopify, Instagram stuff. Did that for probably a couple of years. Went into retail in 2020, and this is when COVID hit. So March 17th, we have this massive launch and everyone kind of goes dark, right? Because that's when kind of the whole country shut down. But for us, it was interesting because I'd never figured out like the retail part of marketing. It was more of a, we're going to go where the customers want product. And in this case, they want relief. And it's not that they're going to wait 2 days to get relief. They wanted to drive 20 minutes away, right, to a store to go buy it. And a lot of the population, they go to stores. Like, I mean, as much as I order on Amazon, I'm still going to stores, right? So once we kind of understood that, we really just expanded the brand into trying to find where our customers were, and honestly, just meeting them there was the goal. So yeah, I think the cool thing about our relationship with us and Nigel and his team is you have to treat each other like as if you were brought in, right? There's no like classified, this is classified, I can't share this with you. It was more of a, I'm going to share, I might be oversharing,
I
yeah.
was just going to say the message to all founders out there. So when we actually presented to Walmart, we did all the introductions. We're there in front of the buyer, and we were going around the table, introducing who's who, and obviously the buyer thought everyone's there from Eczema Honey, and it was like, Nigel, this guy runs a marketing agency, and the guy's like, well, what's he doing there? And when he understood that I was there as to help them with the pitch, and I just literally flown all the way out to Arkansas for that meeting, he was so surprised because no one else had done that. So, the level of care, like that shows a lot to the buying side for these retailers. And obviously you need to do things to stand out. And also I understand, Kate, this is, Omnichannel podcast. The other thing is a lot of brands, and especially they work with marketing agencies, on the D2C side. They work with agencies on the retail side, and they have all these different channel specialists. The insights that I got from being there with Walmart and understanding the retail side, and then being able to build that with our team into the strategy, which obviously helped their pitch and what everything they did as they pushed into retail. But that was phenomenal. And, giving the exposure to your partners to be able for them to understand the entire macro strategy as we push and integrate these channels together, I think that's a lesson that a lot of founders can take away. And it's something that it really helps when you have these insights. And that's why, sharing out, it's a long term, it's a very, very smart play. So credit to you, Minesh, for doing that, the mastermind.
But
So yeah, I'd love to, double click into this Walmart pitch, a little bit more because, excited to hear that Minesh, Eczema Honey will be launching in Walmart. So it obviously went well. What were some of the insights from that pitch? What were some of the ways that you prepared and positioned Eczema Honey to, to win that Walmart deal? And then, how do you think about the insights from that conversation, playing into the broader marketing strategy? Because I do think that our listeners are very interested in, how do you use your marketing channels to, be wherever all of your customers are? And it's difficult. Like D2C is very obvious, how you can do that. And then how that bleeds into retail is different. So I'd love to, hear how you're thinking about that.
yeah, so we launched 9 products at Walmart, I want to say 2 weeks ago.
Congrats.
Thank you. 6 products are in about 3,900 stores. The other couple are in about 2,000 stores. To be really honest, when we first launched, we were like, just take our best sellers, please. And I think that's, any strategy, right? You don't want to put any stragglers in. Just put your best out there. We know what failure looks like at retail. We know what success looks like after, going on our 3rd year now in retail. We did offer insight into, the nice thing is the product and the packaging are so simple. It's extremely simple, right? The way that we are structured on shelf, we just have to kind of get the exposure. What we found is a brand shop was the most successful way to get a customer's attention. So at Target, for instance, we'll have our products together. And the guests at Target love to see that they can purchase, Eczema Honey original skin smoothing cream. They can buy our body lotion. They can buy it together, and they don't have to go walk around the store to try to figure out where else you are. So we did the same concept with Ulta Beauty. They've been an amazing partner as well, where everything is kind of listed together. And as you may know, customers that have sensitive skin or eczema will have it at any part of their body, right? So it's like, hey, I need some pinpointed solution for my hands. I need them for my body. I need a body wash, for instance, because I want to focus on kind of the whole body care routine. So we knew kind of the recipes for success coming into Walmart, and then all it took was making sure that we understood that for us, you have a $30 jar of cream. I mean, let's be honest, like I'm not going to walk into Walmart and go buy a $30 cream if I'm only going to spend maybe, a handful of dollars on some groceries. So we designed the assortment around Walmart as well. So we made most of the products kind of the whole save money, live better mindset, figured out the right kind of assortment, and then just went in as strong as possible with like some of the activation, like the marketing activations that we had in the past. And mind you, I mean, it's because we started D2C, we were able to leverage, just sending people in stores, like our brand ambassadors. We were able to send emails out, and like just we kind of had some of those ingredients. We just needed to put the entree together. And I mean, I was surprised that they had accepted that many items, but it made sense because they did not want us to get lost on shelf, right? Like we sit next to mega brands like a Burt's Bees, right? Clorox owns Burt's Bees. They're not going away. They're everywhere. They're all over that aisle. So like for us to stand out, we needed to have enough of a presence to not get lost. So their strategy was perfectly sound. And yeah, and during that pitch, it just, it made sense. And to be really honest with you, we didn't know going into it that we were going to get in. We just had a good idea. I mean, we actually applied. Most of the retailers that we've done business with, they kind of come to us and we're like, are you down to work together type of, it's more of a kind of like, are we down together? Because we know this has to be a together relationship. It can't just be like, I'm begging you for us to get in your doors. Because once you get in the doors, it could be over, right? Like from there. So with Walmart, we actually applied for the Walmart Start program, which new brands should always apply for, because that's like the way to get exposure and try to build, a relationship with Walmart. We actually got denied from that program because I think we were a little bit already built out. And then they put us in touch with the buyers. And I think we went through maybe 6 months of not hearing back from the buyers because it's just like me. If you email me, it's maybe something that's for next year. I probably won't respond back to you, right? So yeah, I guess when we got called in, we knew like we need to come in with the sound strategy on how to win at Walmart, because we think that Walmart, obviously a lot of people shop at Walmart, and it's a huge volume pusher. So so we signed up to become a big brand, and we're
amazing.
Here.
And so Nigel, tell me how you've brought some of those insights from the Walmart meeting into the broader marketing strategy.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the biggest problems we all know about in direct to consumer is attribution, right? So, when we're spending on these channels, and obviously we push into these new markets, the retailers, one of the reasons why they want to work with the up and coming brands is because they haven't figured out the social media piece yet. They haven't figured out how to get the attention. And that's why they want to work with brands who understand that, because they see where the future's going. And they understand that you need to get that level of attention, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on Instagram, whatever channel it might be. So one of the things we actually did, and it wasn't just in the buyers meeting, but we went into some of the retail stores, and we went to an Ulta Beauty conference as well. And we started asking the managers, what are the customers asking? Like, where are they discovering you? And what questions are they asking about your product? And from that, and obviously working with Minesh's team with their insights and looking at the data, we understood that one of the best-selling customers were mothers who have children who have eczema. So from there, our real goal was to build a big story around this. And I'll give you one example. So we started finding, creators that were mothers who have children who have eczema, so very authentic, and we got them to shoot some videos. Then what we did is we started pushing, ads in line with that. And we also created a very, very customized customer journey with a landing page built around this exact story, around how Minesh, he built this product to solve his own daughter's eczema, all the problems, steroids and everything we've talked about, but literally directly to mothers. And, just to give you an example of how successful one of those campaigns has been, like one of those ads has done like literally one video on Facebook's done over 200,000 in revenue, and it's still going strong today. And we know that when people go into the stores, they already have that top level of awareness. So it's about understanding you're not going to have all the answers in terms of attribution, because how do you know when someone walks into Walmart if they already have the level of awareness from TikTok or Facebook about your product? But the thing is, that can be the differentiator when they walk down that aisle and they see those two products. The differentiator is, do they have a story and a level of awareness which is personalized to them for them to go make that purchase? And especially if they're, the rest of their family are already speaking about it. And that's where, you talk about family products and how you get into that. And that's why, products like Mr. Beast are doing, like his Feastables stuff is doing so extremely well, is because they've already got that top line awareness. And even if it's not the mother who knows about it, it's the child. And who do you think they're going to trust when they're buying that product? So I think taking those insights, making very, very customized customer journeys and just getting rid of all the friction, that's the way that you need to tie the two channels together. And yeah, like I said, I'd recommend, if any founders listening to this, go into one of the stores you're in, speak to the managers and ask them where people are finding about the product. You'll get some very deep level insights, which you can then take to your marketing campaigns.
That's a really great recommendation. Minesh, anything that you'd add just about, being an omni-channel brand, kind of the end-to-end brand experience and how, you think about bridging all of those channels?
Yeah, I think two things. The awareness piece, and Greg at Bloom Nutrition told me, like, basically strategy for us, because now we're not everywhere, but we're kind of like, we're in the big retailers. We need to switch the marketing around. When you look at Eczema Honey, when a customer looks at Eczema Honey, they walk into a Target or an Ulta Beauty or a Walmart, they know, oh, that's Eczema Honey. Like that's already part of the battle, right? Like you just go in, you're like, oh, I've never heard of this, right? So brand awareness is super key in all of our messaging now. The other thing for us, being in all these different channels, both retail and the D2C, and when I say D2C, I mean the Amazon side as well. Whether Eczema Honey works for somebody or works for their kids or doesn't work, the customer service piece of it never goes away. So if like you go to Target and you buy some Eczema Honey and it doesn't work for you, we don't say, hey, go back to Target and go return it. Like we'll actually, we have a very small percentage of people that do this, luckily, but like people come back and like we'll send them refunds, like cash refunds, like, and then they'll ask, like, we don't have a returns program where like we don't want you, if you dug your fingers into a jar of Eczema Honey, we don't want you to return that, right? So typically what we'll do is we'll say like gift it to somebody. Maybe you had a reaction or it didn't work well for you, gift it to somebody. And we have just a ton of customers that have it hasn't worked for, and then they gave it to their aunt or or their uncle or their grandmother, and it worked so well for them. The testimonials come back later, and they're like, "Oh wow, this really worked for him. It didn't work for me, but wow, it worked for them." Right? So I think after we spend years of it takes years. It's not like something you could do overnight, right? I think that those are the two pieces that we're trying to amplify now to build a bigger brand. I mean, we want a brand that's gonna now last, we've already made the decisions to get into these mega retailers. One, we have to stay in. I mean, that's like, going on our third year, now our first year at Walmart, we got to stay in. And two, we need to push heavy volume. Like I'm talking like the volumes that we see like on LinkedIn with like Dude Wipes and Dr. Squatch and some of the large, the prime drinks. Like those are the volumes we need to get to in order to stick around and last a long, long time.
How did you think about kind of your path to all of the different retailers that you rolled out in? It sounded like a lot of them came inbound, but was there specific retailers that were earlier a better fit versus Walmart is such a volume game, so it's better now as you're a more mature brand?
Yeah, I had originally envisioned our product would do well like Target. I had been pleasantly both surprised and amazed by Ulta Beauty because what Ulta Beauty allowed us to do was say, hey, you're an eczema brand. One, it's weird to just carry an eczema brand, but the Ulta Beauty customer and experience taught us that, hey, we have a lot of customers that don't have eczema, and they are using our products because they're simple, they're good, and they are good for people that have allergies on their skin. They're going to be good for me to rub on my skin too. We have so many customers that buy our hand cream and our body lotion and our facial cream and our body wash and pretty much so many different products where they don't necessarily have the eczema themselves. Now,
Oh,
luckily for
interesting.
us, yeah, so like what's funny is, and I'm sure you know this very well compared to Nigel because you have a child, but you start using what your children use. Like when we were first when they were really young, we'd be like, oh, okay, I don't know, like Baby Ganix or whatever the brand was at the time. Like, oh yeah, let's just use this for ourselves because we use it on our kids. I mean, it's got to be good
Mm-hmm.
for ourselves. And so what's happening right now is if if you say like you use body lotion for your kid, I mean, you should see my house. Like we have our body lotion in the rooms in the bathroom, and like we use it for ourselves, and that's the kind of consumer that we're going after. We're going after the whole family. Now, Nigel
Mm-hmm.
found a pocket customer kid. It works for my kids, but we're trying to accommodate the family. And I think that's where the volume play comes in because, yeah, I mean, Walmart's all about family. When you go to a Walmart, who do you see at Walmart, right? You see like a mom with the kids and you see a dad and you see kind of a whole family. You don't just see like, just people rolling around. I mean, kind of the consumer base that just fit in like a puzzle piece for us.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Okay, transitioning to, I love to ask all of our guests about a topic that they feel passionately about. It could be business related or not, but would love to, hear your thoughts there.
Yes. So I think that if I were to share something with your listeners, and remember, I'm giving you the lens of a parent with, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. We are at a critical time where I would say our age, by our I mean us three on this call, are really shaping the brands that those kids remember. And I'll give you an example that's very recent. I'm like an assistant field crew coach. Like, just imagine a assistant of an assistant coach. Like not the assistant coach or the head coach, but I'm an assistant of an assistant baseball coach for my kids' little league. And I all 9 kids are hanging out by the snack bar, and I'm asking them like, okay, like you guys got your water bottles, yada yada yada, and they look and they're like, no, we want Prime. And I was like, oh my gosh, if you look at the fridge, I've never seen a fridge where every row is Prime. There's like Prime, there's Liquid Death, and I didn't even see like Gatorade there. So we're at a really unique time where the kids are remembering the brands that are new. And it's like, I don't know how long this is going to last. It may last a couple of years, but it's a great time to start a brand. It's like
Mm.
you're not behind if you didn't start in 2018. You're also not behind if you're like Nigel and want to start your next brand in the next, I don't know, 3 years. You're at a point where children are remembering brands that didn't exist before, and it might play into like the age that we're at right now, where it's like, I think one of your questions was favorite brand or shoe or whatever, favorite brand, I think. I wear Kizik's, right? Like I wear Kizik's because they have a viral ad that I saw which was like, put your shoes on without bending down. And just imagine how many TSA visits where you're just like literally bending down, putting on your shoes, and then having to put, bend down and put your kids' shoes on. And it's like a whole mess, right? And so that's like a brand that didn't exist before. So I think the topic that is like, start with something, right? And it could be a brand, it could be a product. Figure out if it works for you or a subset of people. I mean, I'm probably a proven example here of like most people saying you can't go create an eczema brand. Only 10% of the population has eczema. So like you're definitely going to fail because 90% are not in your consumer base. Luckily for us, we now market to 100% of the population, right? Like people that a lot of people think that they have sensitive skin and they might, right? So start a brand.
Yeah, love it. So we're going to move into our lightning round here. And what I'm going to do is just go back and forth, have you both answer, your quick favorite. So Minesh, I know you just answered this one, but favorite omnichannel brand is Kizik's. And then Nigel?
I have to be loyal here, don't I? No, I think Dr. Squatch have done an amazing job, especially on the content side. Yeah.
They're excellent. Thing you wish you could change about our industry? Minesh.
I think that, I know I'm like, maybe it's now me just following people that build in public, but like just more sharing of information. I think we're not all out to get each other. Like if Nigel says, hey, go meet with this guy or gal or meet or figure out if you can work with this person or help them, just be like open to helping everyone. I think if we can change anything, it's more of a reciprocity mindset. So like give, and then eventually when you'll need a take, like you'll get the take. Give 3 times, you'll get the take. So just make everything about reciprocity, right? Like that's what everything in anthropology taught us, right? So like it applies to brands as well.
Nigel?
Going back to basics. So obviously, the cost opportunity of not understanding your attribution, for example, that's how all of these, attribution products have been built off. But the cost opportunity of spending so much time trying to find the 100% accurate attribution is also costing brands so much money. And they could instead spend their time developing their stories, doing better customer experience, creating better products. And honestly, I feel like in the last, obviously we all know it's been a bit of a bloodbath here the last 12 to 18 months. The brands that are going to survive and the brands that come into the marketplace, especially the Davids that want to compete with industry Goliaths, are going to ones that do the basics right. And, ultimately, for example, like with storytelling, you can still just suddenly go viral if you have an incredible story, which everyone relates to. And then you almost trump all of these, like specific attribution tools and benchmarks and everything. You can write your own playbook, and it's really thinking about the customer. So just going back to the fundamentals and basics of business. And in a world where AI and technology is becoming ever more present, I personally think the way to stand out is to just be more human.
Love that. Favorite podcast, Minesh?
I would say Huberman Lab. Listening to that a lot.
Nigel?
My First Million's been pretty good recently. They've had some, great interviews on there. I'd go and check those guys out.
Yeah, it's funny, Kate. I actually sent a Huberman link to Nigel, and it was 3 hours and 50 minutes, and he's like, dude, I don't know if I can listen to this. And I was like, yeah. So I gave him some clip notes. But yeah, anyways.
I have a long drive this weekend, so maybe that's like the right time for a 3-hour podcast.
Yes.
Favorite newsletter, Minesh?
I think I'm reading a lot of different newsletters. I mean, one that I'm looking at consistently is like the Morning Brew stuff. I kind of like the newsletters that are not businessy, more like just everything that's happening. So, yeah.
Nigel?
I think Sahil Bloom has done a really great job. So what he's done within the last sort of 12 months is he's brought his family into the picture. And again, when I'm talking about being more human, this is a guy who's literally like reached into that so much. And, obviously he's created it all organically, I think, to like 500,000 people within a few months. So I think, even if you're a brand, you can look at that and see how to build your personal brand. And he's done a fantastic job of understanding consumer behavior now, but also, look, within the next 5 to 10 years, there's still big opportunities. And, if we look back at 5 years ago with newsletters, it's only that the audiences are only growing in size. So a big newsletter today is like 2 million or whatever. 5, 10 years ago, it was 100,000. So if you compound that forward and the fact that, more and more people are coming online, those audiences are going to get bigger and bigger. And that just shows you the importance of personal branding. I think Zaho Bloom's a great example.
Favorite social media channel, Minesh?
I would say YouTube. Like if you have YouTube Premium, super legit. Obviously I'm not affiliated with YouTube, but you can have videos on in the background. I use it kind of like as my podcast engine. So YouTube for sure.
Nigel?
Yeah, I mean, my LinkedIn followers probably not going to like me for this, but I would also say YouTube. And I wanted to get started in there for a while, but I just think, it's like, I mean, again, we look at where education's going. YouTube for education is incredible.
YouTube University. Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite book, Minesh?
I would say Ride of a Lifetime, Bob Iger. I know he's got his work cut out for him at Disney right now, but I've read it 3 times. And in fact, when my son was 2, he'd notice like I would notice the book like on my desk, and he'd be like, "Oh, Daddy's reading the manager of Disneyland's book," So.
Nigel?
Legacy by James Kerr. It's about how the principles, the 15 main principles that built the All Blacks, who were the, most successful ever team in rugby, but the leadership principles which you can apply to business and life. And honestly, it's absolutely incredible.
An event that you're excited about attending this year, Minesh?
So every year, and by every year I mean 2 years in a row, we attend the National Eczema Association's Expo. That is a super cool event because you have the big dogs, the multi-billion-dollar Aveenos and the CeraVes and the pharmaceutical companies, and then you kind of have like Eczema Honey hanging out next to them. That's a cool event that we attend. And then also Ulta Beauty's Field Leadership Conference that Nigel spoke about. That is a very cool conference because that's where we meet all of the store managers and employees. And those are the people that move your product, right? Like without any kind of ads, I mean, all we have to do is stock them up for a year, which we do in samples. And they'll come back next year and be like, wow, like I remember you. There's a gal, Sabrina, she'll probably see this. I'll send her a link to this, but she comes up to me and she's like, I had a selfie with you last year. Let's take another selfie. So like next year, I'll probably take my 3rd selfie with her. And those are the people that give you the real insights, like how your product is really like retaining, right? So I would say those 2 events for sure annually.
Yeah, that's awesome. Nigel, what about you?
Yeah, so we work with a woman called Rachel Jacobs, who's almost like a fractional COO. And she's probably the best person when it comes to agencies. She also helps a lot of SaaS products. And she puts on a big summit every year, and she's going to put one on in Austin in March. I actually had the chance to speak in the one in Toronto a few months back. But she's just, and she talks to e-com brands and stuff as well. You should check her out on LinkedIn. She's this crazy Irish woman, and I've never seen a personality like it in my life. But she's just, honestly, she's got the biggest heart and she cares so much. And look, the agency space, I know we get a bad rep and there's a lot of sharks in our industry. Rachel's one of the good ones, and she's someone who's really bringing light, and she's really bringing the fact that agencies are good, and she's showing agencies how to build in the right way. And just someone who really, really cares about the people she works with. And she's changed my life and incredible. She's inspired me a lot. Rachel Jacobs.
Amazing. Well, loved all of these favorites from both of you. What is the best way for our audience to connect with you, Minesh?
Probably LinkedIn.
To
Most
get
likely
those
be
followers up, man.
the easiest. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
not
and
yeah.
Nigel?
Yeah, as you probably know, it's LinkedIn as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you both. Really enjoyed the conversation. Really cool to hear how you've, respectively helped each other, be successful in Walmart and, bring this back to the broader marketing strategy. So really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks both.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
so
you.
much, Kate. And you're doing great things at Bridge. So thank you for what you're putting out in the market.
Thank you. If you liked this podcast, follow me and the Bridge page on LinkedIn and Twitter for hot takes and tactical advice. If you really loved today's episode, we'd love a review on the podcasting platform of your choice, Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Thanks for listening.